Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike Butler.
And I'm Mike Field.
And welcome to Forgotten Cinema Now Showing. Each episode, we highlight a brand new release. We'll discuss what we love about the movie, or perhaps don't love about it, but don't take our word for it. Go see the movie for yourself. Now, obviously, we're putting on quotes because this isn't really a movie. This is a TV series, the limited TV series Alien Earth. So we did all the other Alien films for our lead-up series, and we figured, this is basically a big Alien franchise vehicle, so we should kind of, we should cover it. We should test the waters of this whole TV thing, and also because it's a big part of the franchise, and we covered even the Alien vs. Predator movies and talked, the Prometheus stuff, that, we should take a look at this. So here we are covering Alien Earth. We're going to do, I think we talked about doing we did 2-episode chunks. So I guess it'll be a 4-episode series where we take a look at what came before and what since. While we're recording this is Tuesday. So tonight, episode 3 will come out. So hopefully we can get this out fairly quickly, and you guys can hear what we think about the first 2 episodes of Alien Earth.
I think I might watch them together, back to back. Like I watched this episodes 1 and 2 together the same night so that I have them fresh in my head. Because if I watch 3 and then wait a week and watch 4, I might forget 3. So I think it might be easier for me to watch them in chunks. So that might be better for me. Yes, there's just to go off of Butler's point. There's been talk amongst the Forgotten Cinema brass about another Forgotten TV channel. So this is kind of our testing the waters of that, but it's more of a now showing because, like I said, we've already covered the universe, so why don't we just keep going? And I'm sure there's going to be another movie eventually, so we don't have to redo the lead up for that one. So that's good. So Alien Earth. I guess we could start before we start getting into the episodes and what happened in the story and what we thought. What was your? I'm curious what your excitement level was before when you heard the announcement and then you saw the trailer, like just leading up to it. Were you how much of your excitement? How much did it grow? Did it lessen? What was it?
I think I talked, before. I'm a huge Alien fan. Alien and Aliens. We did the whole lead up thing. I got my head right here. I really liked Romulus. I know you were okay with Romulus. So, I'm always excited about new things in the Alien universe, but I wasn't crazy excited. I know Noah Hawley did Fargo, but I didn't watch all of Fargo, the TV series, not the film, obviously. That was the
Great
Coen
show.
Brothers. But I knew, and by listening to his interviews, that he had great respect for, the films that came before. And he's also kind of linked to a new Star Trek movie. So the dude definitely has his ear to the ground in terms of sci-fi. But Alien Earth, the alien on Earth sounded kind of gimmicky and taking place before Ripley, and how it would mess with, the canon and just kind of doing its own thing. And being a TV show, I was like, I don't know. Plus the fact that it was announced, I feel like it was announced forever ago and we're just finally getting it. And I know obviously there have been strikes and, a little sickness called COVID happened. And
What? What's
this.
that?
I have no idea. So, I know there's been a lot delaying the show and probably special effects and stuff are part of the reason it took a long time. The sets, obviously. So I wasn't really excited till I saw the first trailer. I would say that the first the first trailer with footage, because I think the first trailer was some kind of lame teaser. Well, not lame, but a teaser thing. So the first thing of the footage, I was like, okay, this looks like it could be something. The fact that they have Timothy Olyphant in it, I'm a big Timothy Olyphant fan. And I feel at this point in his career, he doesn't have to do something if he doesn't want to do something. So the fact that he was in there, Ridley Scott was somewhat involved as a producer, at least to the point where if he didn't like something, he could just say no. because I believe we talked about it that now he pretty much owns the franchise. He basically has direct say on what he can, what people can and cannot do with his baby, basically, which is kind of cool. So I became a little bit more excited, and then the reviews came in, and they were really good. So I feel like leading up into the first episode, the first last like 2 weeks, then I got kind of hyped up. But before that, I was like, eh.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess same. I wasn't really super excited. I mean, I like Alien. I like Aliens, but there's a lot of misses throughout the series.
Burned a few too many times.
Well, it's just the later ones, and I understand why you do this because you're paying homage, but the later ones seem to rely on a lot of callbacks to the early stuff, and while that's great, it gets tiresome. Like, do something different. So so far, I mean, I know there's stuff. I think there's stuff in this one. If I can remember, there were some little callbacks, and it's gonna happen just because it's an iconic move. Those two first films are iconic and seminal moments in film history. So I get it. It's just after a while, you just kind of get tired of it, and then you start looking for it. I think, what was the movie that we just watched? You didn't see it. I watched the Jurassic World. The new one. What is it called?
Oh, Rebirth? Yeah, I haven't watched that yet.
Like, I remember the note that in Rebirth where they showed it to Spielberg and he said to take out a lot of the references to Jurassic Park. And I guess they did, but there were a lot still in there. So, and it was too much what was in there now. So if whatever they took out, I'm like, how much was in there? So the callbacks are a little too much, but regardless of that, let's get into the show. Let's get into the series. We can take it. Since we're taking it by episodes 1 and 2, we don't have to keep it. We don't have to just focus on 1 and 2. Let's just do the together.
Yeah, they were released together anyway, so I think they were meant to be kind of seen as a package deal.
And that makes sense because the event that happens in the first one carries over into the second episode in terms of the ship crashing and whatnot. We get a very similar. I don't know if it's by design or just. It just kind of, if it's a callback or if it's just it's the best way to start the series. Well, we get a by design, like a ship coming back to Earth that has all these creatures, and for some reason we don't know why, but it's overrun. They get out, they get loose, and it crash lands on Earth, and that's where kind of like this whole series kicks off. What did you think of that? What did you? I guess first talk about that whole. We talked about a little bit of how it just kept flashing back to it throughout the first episode. What did you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I get that that's not the focus of the show, and maybe they will have a flashback episode, which I hope they don't do. But I think the very kind of distracting flashes of the events, I didn't think was very well done. I think that's what we talked about. Like, it was distracting. It was kind of like really like just such quick flashes. Why even have that? I know the ship crashed. We've introduced some of these characters that are on the ship, although briefly. Like, I don't know if I need to see them all die in such quick fashion. It just kind of really took me out of it. I like the scene in Mother where the cyborg character is talking with Mother about this. It's the specimen. It was released, and how, the other crew member knocking on the glass and he doesn't let her in, and he goes to hide from the Xenomorph. That was cool. But those flashes were very distracting.
Mm.
I don't know if you felt the same way. I just
I think what I told you was I was concerned that, like, after the first episode, I was concerned that we were going to get an episode of just what happens on the ship. Like, I was really worried that we were going to get a complete episode where and I was like, I don't think I need to know this because I've seen this already in 3 or 4 other films. Yeah, I know this already. I don't need to see it again. You mentioned the cyborg, and the whole show starts off with the hey, it talks about like what the future is right now, which is 21. Takes place in 2120, 2 years before the events of Alien. Yep. So obviously this is when this is kind of around the first time they learn about xenomorphs. I guess that's what we're trying to say here. But they talk about how there's the race for immortality is on, and there's 3 different ways to do it. There's synths, which is what you see in the for Weyland Yutani does with Bishop and whatnot, and Aliens. I just say Bishop because that's the most famous one. That's the always one I remember. there is the cyborg, which we learned. That's a new thing, and obviously the
Right.
hybrids, which is a transfer of the human consciousness over into a synthetic, which is kind of like what I'm blanking on the name of the show with the discs that we love. We both liked on
Oh,
Netflix. With Joel Kinnaman.
altered
Yeah,
carbon.
Altered Carbon, kind of like that. So the cyborg is new, and
Right.
I mentioned this to you, and so I just want to say it again so that it's something that we kind of discussed was
It's on record.
well, it's really this is what you when you have shows, the movies that come out 30, 40 years later, and they're setting up. It's a prequel, and they're setting up the world. And now there's this idea that there's a cyborg on the ship. So are cyborgs always on the ship? I haven't seen a cyborg throughout the entire Alien series. It's just now all of a sudden this is new thing, and it's like now we've got this. I mean, now I start questioning like, was Prodigy in the original stuff? So it's a lot of stuff that we don't know, and I'm sure they'll explain it. I'm not being like it didn't happen. I'm not being like that. I'm just wondering if does that affect? Do you think that affects your overall appreciation of the entirety of the Alien franchise, or do you think it has any kind of is it an add-on bonus, or what is it? How do you feel about that?
I really didn't care.
Yeah.
Because the cyborgs are part human, part machine. You got to figure if they already have the synthetic android, the synths like Bishop and stuff, they've made body parts that can replace like that. That's got to be a thing. That we who knows if some of the Marines had cyborg parts and we just didn't see it in Aliens. You know what I mean?
Buy it. It's completely believable.
In terms of the other companies, there has to be something more than just Weyland-Yutani. And it's just that Weyland-Yutani has become so synonymous with the Xenomorph because they're obsessed with it. And it's kind of explained that Weyland-Yutani kind of owns space. Like Saturn and the moon, I think, were Weyland-Yutani. Like they don't even own
that's
much
what they
of
say.
Earth.
They say that, yeah. They say something about Mars. They say one of them owns Mars. And
Right.
I always remember because from our rewatch, from our lead up series, the only time I always remember the discussion in Alien Resurrection, the fourth one, when they talk about how they took over when Walmart, the Walmart goes bankrupt or something like that, right? And they took over.
Right. Yeah,
I always remember that. But that's the only time I always remember another company in the mix.
But you got to figure there's other companies. I think it's interesting. And like I told you, I think that this is the first time that I can see, because Ridley Scott had always talked about, oh, my Alien franchise takes place in the same universe as my Blade Runner franchise. And, we talked about it on the lead up and I was like, I guess it's cool to think. And obviously Universal Soldier, some crap, which we were like, no. But like, this is the first time where, because they're synths, because they're cyborgs, and the way they're setting up, companies rule the world, that's very similar to Blade Runner's like post-capitalism society, just like capitalism runs everything to an extreme degree. Like I can see that world bleeding over. That's not to say that I now buy that and that's something I believe is going on, but this is very similar. And I think it flavors it because it just shows how powerful Weyland-Yutani is, but also shows that there's other players in the mix, which for a TV show, for a movie, that's too much. But for a TV show, now you can get into kind of Game of Thrones, kind of kingdoms and fiefdoms kind of a thing going on, which I can see helps the TV show for sure.
And we also seem to be focusing on Prodigy, the one that the boy wonder, like whatever it's called, the kid wonder, whoever
Right.
is running. That's because that's the one that's created the hybrids. That's our main character, Wendy, who is the I can't remember, Marcy was her name as a child, and she was
Marcy, yeah.
Marcy, yeah, she was sick, and she so she obviously is the first one that get transferred over into a synth body, and Wendy, and then they have like 5 or 6 other kids that come there because they say that a kid's mind is easier and malleable to take the transfer, rather than an adult mind is too set in their ways, and they would just go insane. Which I'm sure there's an adult hybrid coming somewhere that's locked away that's going nuts. But and you have a little Peter Pan theme here because you have Wendy, and I didn't realize that they call the other ones the Lost Boys because they're called Smee and they have names like the Lost Boys. I don't know if you knew that.
Toodles, slightly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we talked about this, and they kind of I guess they kind of explain it in the episode where actually, this happens in the second episode where what's the boy wonder's name? What's his character's name?
It's Boy Cavalier.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
That he wanted the whole reason why he's doing synth is because he wanted to create hybrids. Excuse me. He wanted to create somebody he could talk to that is smarter than him, because he's smarter than everybody in the world and he's bored with life. And so he gave Wendy a supercomputer, and she's basically more advanced than anyone else, any other hybrids, and that's why
Right.
that's why she's like that. But when they go on their mission because the plane crashes, and then Wendy convinces him, "Hey, send me and the Lost Boys, send us. We can take it." We both talked about this, that the immaturity level of the Lost Boys kind of pulls away from some of the moments within that second
Right.
episode. Talk a little about that, like what kind of jumped out at you that you weren't a huge fan of.
I mean, Kirsch, obviously, Timothy Olyphant's character, who I really like so far. I like the way he's playing it. He's the synthetic. He's trying to keep these kids under control, but they're really, a lot of them, depending on the kids, they're very childish. Like Slightly is very much a kid. I don't remember the other girl's name. Curly.
Smee, Carla, Curly. Yep.
Curly, yeah. So Slightly and Curly are very immature. Like, she's throwing paper airplanes at the current soldiers that are down for the recovery efforts, and it's just kind of like, they're really not ready yet. And he spent so much money on these people. I get that Wendy is ready, but I don't understand risking the tech by sending anyone else out. You've already got troops on the ground. Just send Wendy and Kirsch. I feel like the other ones aren't there yet, and it's kind of distracting to wonder, like, why are kids essentially being sent to this place? And granted, Boy Cavalier and none of them realized that there were aliens on this vessel until, it's too late. They're already on the ship. But it just seems like it does seem a little rushed to give anyone else other than Wendy this position. Like, I can see, okay, yeah, you go and let's test you out. But the other kids, it just seems kind of foolish.
And also,
from the smartest kid ever.
Well, also, she is their first hybrid, so they're all like, this is the first time this has ever been successful and it's ever happened, and you have not yet. Right. Don't you think you want to hide that from the world until you're ready to present it? And now you're just throwing them out into the field, and now where people are gonna question it, and I'm just curious about that, and I'm sure maybe that'll come to play later on in the season. But that's definitely a question I had. Like, isn't that a risk? Not only a risk of the tech, like you talk about,
right,
but the risk of exposure, and like, Whalen Yutani, or I can't remember the other name of the other company.
Right, we haven't met them yet.
Yeah, like them finding out that you were successful in because if this is a race to immortality, you're winning, and now what's going to happen when they find out?
Right.
So yeah. So I'm curious about that. The first episode. Well, go ahead.
Oh, I said, in terms of the kids, I'm waiting for Smee to betray them. Because
really?
Everyone else is based on a lost boy name, but Smee is obviously Hook's right-hand man.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering, I haven't looked into it, but I'm wondering if Morrow, which is the name of the cyborg, is like an alternate name for Captain Hook somewhere. Or we're going to meet, like it didn't pop up till you said it, was the first hybrid that went insane. If we do meet one, is that going to end up being the Captain Hook? And he teams up with Smee. Like, I'm just waiting for Smee to join them, because there's other lost boys that you could name it somebody after.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's John and Michael. Like, you didn't have to name him Smee. So I'm waiting for the shoe to drop on him. And he's the only one other than Wendy that seems slightly mature. He's actually curious about the science of things, curious about that plant organism, which is something we mentioned when we talked about it off air. So I'm wondering if there's something going on with Smee.
So the first episode is more of a setting. It takes its time. But the second episode is more, I guess, action based. More stuff's happening. There's stuff going on. You have more stuff with the Xenomorph, where they're fighting the Xenomorph. Anything stand out there in the second episode when you actually get into the action with the Xenomorph? The fact that it's a person in a suit?
The fact that it's a person in the suit. Obviously, there's CGI when he jumps past Hermit, who's Wendy's brother. There's slow-mo there, but like the suit is awesome. I love to see an alien in the suit because he's drippy, they're slimy. I think it really adds to the fear factor because it looks like a real thing. And the fact that how quickly it eviscerates everybody in this film. In all the other films, it's just a quick cut or pan, or we cut as soon as somebody realizes they're going to be killed by this alien, or it reaches up and grabs them somewhere. this alien is eviscerating soldiers in 2 seconds. It eviscerates that stupid Renaissance party by all those rich guys in like 3 seconds, and how bloody it is. Like the Renaissance, like that guy gets ripped to shreds, and you see half a man scooting across the floor. I was really impressed with that, especially since it's like an FX show. I know it's also on Hulu, but it's a network television show, and I thought they did a really good job showcasing the gore. They didn't shy away from it. I thought it was really cool.
For those watching this a year from now, it's on Disney Plus, not Hulu. That's gone.
That's true. It's on Hulu right now for the next couple months. But it's not only that. I'm waiting for them to do more, but I really like the fact that there's other creatures on this show. I don't know how you feel about that, but that was one of the things I thought was a refreshing take when they showed the first actual trailer, that there's the 5 creatures they captured from the darkest corners of the universe. I was like, all right. And we've already seen that with the bugs sucking the blood out and getting bigger. I thought that was kind of cool and gross. But the squid guy, I think the squiddy eye thing is something I'd like to see more of. I thought it was really gross and interesting how it took over the cat. So the alien stuff, not just the xenomorph, has me very excited.
Mm-hmm.
What did you feel about like the violence in the xenomorph and how it was portrayed?
Oh, I mean, pretty standard. I mean, I told you, like, because I think it wasn't you, but somebody said, oh no, you told me it was really bloody. And I'm like, I'm just coming off of a rewatch and then watching season 4 of The Boys. And then I just finished Gen V. That I'm like, oh, that's gory as heck. But then you reminded me it's FX. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, yes, for FX. Yes, it's definitely gory for FX. Yeah, the only thing with the other creatures is that it's I'm going to be interested in how they kind of introduce them and what they can do, because the Xenomorph has 10 films and 40 years of backstory already delivered on them. We already know so much about them that it's, when we see the Xenomorph in episode 1, we already know what's going to happen. We know what it can do. We know there's nothing new right now that we've learned. I'm sure there is going to be something. The other stuff, like, we have to like learn about them. Like they always talk about with the Xenomorph and the Alien franchise, how it's the perfect organism. It can't, it's designed to survive. Like that's all we always hear about, that it can survive anywhere. That's why Weyland-Yutani is so interested in it, because this creature, is resistant to so many things that can kill other creatures, and they want to try to study it and know what they can do. We don't know anything about these other creatures. So like, what's the purpose of the big eye squid? Like, why does it exist? What is it like that? These are all the questions that I have. And that's unfair to lay at the feet of this show, because this show just introduced them. So I shouldn't expect to get all those answers right away, but I'm curious how we're going to, and if they're going to, like, Mike, what interests me is these 8 episodes pass, and obviously they've already been done. And at the end of the first season, are we going to go, is there a path for this show, or are they going to listen if, like, let's say, for example, people are like, not enough xenomorphs, not enough stuff about this. Like, you know what I mean? They're not interested in the slug. Like, are they going to like course correct? Are they going to change directions, or are they going to stay with what their original plan is? So I always hope they do. I don't want them to change on the whim. I want them to stick with what they're going to say if they have a great idea. So I'm curious what they're going to do after the season ends, and because I'm sure there's other creatures we don't even know about yet that are in all those little. There's more than, I know you said there's 5, but there's like a bunch of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A bunch of boxes. Yeah. In the trailer, they say 5, but you're right. They show a lot, and they've already introduced the little bugs, the plant guy, squid eye, and a xenomorph. So there's really only, if there are only 5 different ones, we've only got 1 more left, unless they account the facehugger, which I don't think they do.
No,
because the facehugger had to have made the xenomorph. So.
Well, there's also the question of, okay, where'd you get the eggs? Where's the queen? Is that the xenomorph a queen? That's usually what ends up happening when you have one xenomorph, they become the queen. I'm curious, like, there's all that stuff that I'm curious about. Or are we going to focus more on, and when you told me about this show, when it first got announced, you were always telling me that it's going to be focused more on the day-to-day nature of Weyland-Yutani and these companies, and we're going to see like kind of like that, like what's going on Earth. It's going to be more of a drama, not really like all the other alien shows. So are we going to go back to that for these next 6 episodes? Like, so there's right now after episode 2. I mean, obviously it's kind of left on a cliffhanger a little bit. I'm really curious where we're going to go from here. I don't have an idea like what path we're headed.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there's the 5 eggs that who was left to look at it? Was it
It was Hermit.
Slightly? It was Slightly.
Hermit, yeah.
Slightly was left. Stay with the eggs. And then she went down.
Because the Xenomorph, yeah.
Took Hermit, yeah. Whose real name is some baseball player. I can't remember what baseball player, though.
He was talking about Reggie Jackson, Mr. October, that whole thing.
Yeah. But that's not his real name.
Isn't it Bobby?
Is it Bobby? Yes, I think you're right. Yeah. But yeah, I think we're going to deal with the Xenomorph more. I mean, we see him in a cave in a jungle in the teaser trailers. So I feel like that's going to happen. But I would really like it if, as the show goes on, they kind of phase out the Xenomorph a little bit and be like, all right, this is why you're here. But also, can we present you with these synthetics? Because something that, it becomes more and more apparent as you watch the films in order and you watch the lead ups. The films are almost as much about synthetics and what is life and humanity
and corporate
than anything
corporate
else. And corporate America and the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, rather.
Yep.
I really feel like that's interesting to me, and I'm okay with them exploring more of that part of the universe.
Yeah.
Will everybody else? I don't know, but I mean, as long as there's some hint of the aliens, I don't need to see like this. Episode 2 was awesome. Don't get me wrong, but I'm okay with really, less is more kind of mentality in terms of the alien. Give me every few episodes, give me something cool, but give me more of the stuff. Like, I'm interested in what Boy Cavalier is really doing with Wendy and the Lost Boys and stuff like that. But like you said, they'll probably go with the whims of the viewers because money.
Well, I'm wondering, like, they do have to they are beholden to aliens, all the stuff that's before us, because they talk about how there's always a threat of if this gets to Earth, if these get to Earth, we got to stop it. We got to, This can't happen. Okay, well, one's on Earth now, 2 years before the first film. So my expectation is like that thing's got to, those things got to be killed. It has to be something like Weyland-Yutani misses out on them and they're destroyed. That's why the race is on to get them back here. Again, the show just started, so I shouldn't really just assume that they don't know what they're doing. But I'm curious how it's gonna be resolved, and I'm okay too with, like you said, a pullback of the Xenomorph stuff, and we kind of get into the other, because you can always have fun with the other creatures because you don't know anything about them, and they can become more of the bad guys or the boogeymen in this series. Man, I'm interested. I like that the first season's 8 episodes, so that works for me. Nice and simple.
I like 8 episodes, but I hate 2 years between seasons. I was just reading an article about Fallout Season 2 because the trailer just came out. I was reading an article that was like, oh, it's coming out sooner than expected. It's coming out December, which is only a 2-year gap. It's like, that shouldn't be what you're excited about.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a 2-year gap between seasons, because after that, you erode my caring for the show.
Well, that's another episode. That's an episode that, and I don't remember where we talked about this, but maybe it's just me and you, but how we miss the 22 episode seasons, the 20 episode seasons. We talk about why the X-Files was so successful is because they had the one-off episodes and they were some of the best and they were funny and they did something different. Yes, it's a grueling shoot. Yes, it's a grueling, TV shooting schedule and whatnot. But, when you have these 8 episode, 10 episode, 6 episode series, they're more like movies. And so that's why they're treated like, that's why you get 2 years in between shows, because they're more like when you watch film, when you watch Iron Man, Iron Man 2 doesn't come out till 2-3 years later. It's just, that's how it is now. That's modern storytelling right now. But someday we'll come back. Someday we'll get those 20, 22 episode seasons again. Where we can kind of fall in love with characters and fall in love with the way shows are being told, and have like 8 seasons of 20 episodes, so you can go back and rewatch them and be like, yeah, I remember this. But let's get off that.
That soapbox.
Yeah. All right. So I don't want to go too long because I don't want to go too long here. So
Right.
obviously you're hooked. You're in. Obviously I'm in because we're doing the show. But we kind of talked a little bit about what's to come and what we kind of hope to happen. Um, is there anything that we haven't discussed here that you wanted to bring up, that like anything with Prodigy, with any Boy Cavalier, you like his character, just stuff like that? Anything that kind of stood out that we haven't really, because we've been focusing more on the Xenomorphs and the hybrids right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in what Boy Cavalier is really doing, and if he's really, I'm sure that he'll be a heel. I'm sure something's gonna happen, because he's a rich kid, and you always got to make him the bad guys. And I'm obviously I don't like rich people. We've talked on the show ad nauseum about that, but it's also very tired when a show just like, oh, he's a rich guy, so automatically he's exactly this kind of villain. And I hope it kind of plays with that. Like Boy Cavalier maybe is more of a likable villain, maybe not a total heel, because we've already got Wayland Yutani, and we already know that they're villains. And hopefully they don't portray them as anything other than that, because I think everyone who loves the Alien franchise loves them as the villain. But hopefully we play with him as having more of a moral compass than nothing. And I'm also intrigued if, because they talk about the cyborg talks about Moro, don't be afraid. They sense your fear. And they immediately, like, the Xenomorph backs off from the cyborg, doesn't want to attack him at all. And we know Xenomorphs even attack synthetics because it rips apart Bishop, it rips apart Ash, in Romulus anyway. So they do attack synthetics if they're afraid. So I'm interested to see like what the reasoning for that is, and if synthetics can get, face huggered. They're not totally biological, but they're not totally, robotic. So I'm interested to see what they'll do with that, or if they'll try to create either through natural selection or artificial selection, try to create a synthetic Xenomorph. I think that would be interesting.
Okay. Interesting. All right.
You got any predictions or things you want to see, other than obviously you said more of the other aliens and stuff?
No, I think I'm just more, I have more questions in terms of where they're going to go. And because I think I asked you, it was like this, after the second episode, is that, is this whole series take place with this crash ship? Because I felt like we were going to stay here for a while, but then I read the synopsis for the third episode when they're returning home. Like, oh, thank God. Because I just thought we were going to just do this whole thing on the ship being crashed and whatnot. Just curious where they're going to go. And I don't really know. I feel like the first episode was a lot of setup, which you have to have. A lot of, like, we had to learn a lot about the characters and whatnot. And then the second episode is kind of, it's got more action, but again, we have to learn about these hybrids in that situation. So we learn about where they're from, and now we got to learn about how they respond in the real world. So now, okay, the first two has done a good job of setting the groundwork. I'm curious to see where the relationships go and what's next for Kirsch and Wendy and then the Lost Boys and whatnot, and obviously how the creatures fit into that. So it's just more curiosity in moving forward. And I'm sure once we talk about episodes 3 and 4, I'll kind of have a better idea of what's happening, and hopefully I enjoy the decisions being made. So far, so good. There wasn't anything that was just like, oh, come on, nothing like that. So, yeah. So, I was okay with everything we saw, and I'm just curious, really just curious, like, where it's going.
Nice.
I'm
glad you're at least somewhat into it, because I was afraid he'd be like, ugh, gotta keep recording this.
Damn.
Glad you're doing it. Well, because, I get it. I wasn't, but I get that after watching all the Alien films in a row, being a little Xenomorph burned out. So I'm glad you're a little into it.
Well, like I said, it's the callbacks that get me. It's the consistent,
right.
And we talked about that. And if you guys go back and watch our now showing Romulus episode, it's the callbacks to, like, almost like comparing the lead actress in Romulus to Ripley and giving her Ripley's lines and her look. And I'm like, she's not Ripley. Like, you do a disservice to that character by consistently, like, remember how badass Ripley was? Like, and everyone's going to sit there and go, like, but she's not Ripley. So, like, Ripley's like an iconic character. And when you start doing those callbacks, it's a disservice to the story you're telling it. And we want something new. So this is right now, this is new. They've introduced a world that we know, but they've introduced parts of the world that we have not known yet. And so now that, like the hybrids and the synths, like you talk about. So, okay,
Yeah.
like that's something new. All right, I'm into that. Let's see what's going on here. But yeah, so that's really what that boils down to. So, I mean, there's no AVP, so we're good there. There's no Predator, so we're okay so
Season
far.
4.
Predators all over the place. The Predator franchise is like, let's just do this. Let's just do that. So, which is fine. It's all good. It's all entertainment, so that's good. Yeah, so awesome. So if you guys haven't checked out Alien Earth, first 2 seasons, check them out. Try to watch 3 and 4, and then you can, when listen to us and see if you agree with us and let us know what you think about episodes 1 and 2. This is an ongoing conversation, I think, Mike. So, yeah. I don't know are these going to be exclusive to YouTube, or are we going to put these on the? Probably would just keep these exclusive. No.
Sure.
All right. So yeah. So drop a comment in the YouTube, and when you're watching, and we'll respond. I'm usually the one that responds, unless I want Mike to answer the question and I have him respond. But yeah, awesome. Anything else, Mike?
That's all I got.
Do you want to plug?
Sure. You could check out our main show every Wednesday, Forgotten Cinema. We talk about films that seem to be forgotten by audiences, whether it be because a more popular movie was released at the same time, or the film simply didn't catch on with an audience in its initial run. We discuss what we love about the movie, fun facts about its production, maybe talk about if we didn't like it, but we always recommend you revisit it. Again, that's every Wednesday without fail. We do now showings, kind of like this, but about movies mostly. We do our lead-up series. If you're just watching this for the first time and you want to know what we thought about the Alien films, we did all of them leading up to Romulus, including a now showing on Romulus. It got rough there at the end, including our rankings at the end. We rank them all. So if you want to watch the whole series or just that last episode for Romulus, you can see where we rank all the Alien movies, including AVP.
In terms of our favorites, not in terms of what's best, in terms of what we like the best.
No, opinions all subjective. It's all, yeah. Our lists are very similar, though.
We flip-flop here and there, but yeah.
Yeah, I think there's like 1 or 2. And if you want to go on our Patreon, we have a Patreon with bonus episodes, merch discounts, Discord access, and we have a merch store if you want to get some merch. Forgotten Horrors coming out, which is our Forgotten Horror season. We do in October, all October, and we have some cool new merch coming out for that.
Awesome. So thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. And we hope you have a wonderful day. I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten Cinema, now showing, or I guess Forgotten TV now showing, Alien Earth. We'll see you for the next episode, episodes 3 and 4.